My name is Harold Jimenez, also known as Canizales because Canizales is my second last name. So it's more exclusive in the Spanish background, so I decided to take that name as some kind of identity. And my creative outlets are in art, painting, sculptures, and sometimes installations, and in comic also as well, and related to that, illustration and animation, and in design. I also in the design field, and I have clients. I do my own creative stuff in the design field, and I also teach. I was born in Cali, in Colombia. That's South America, if somebody doesn't know. And when I was a child, attending the school, I remember I was always having little comics in my notebooks. And my teachers were very pleased because I used to look like I was taking a lot of notes. But of course, I was paying attention as well, but mostly drawing comics. So very early my parents noticed that, so they encouraged me to attend workshops and classes and all that kind of stuff. My relation with the theme of pixel art through my art and my creative stuff like comics is because I started to be interested in the visual culture we already have. So people today, I mean the new generations, they understand better only images. They don't need words. So when somebody gets one of these new devices and they don't understand because they are probably my age or older than me, somebody which is probably around 10 or 20, they would understand perfectly well how to deal with that because it's visual culture. So I was really interested in that factor, so I wanted to go deeper and deeper the digital visual culture, and I found that everything is made out of the same pattern. So everything is made out of squares. So I think that's very important because we are all consuming those images, we are spending money, we are falling in love with those images, we also sometimes having sex with those images. So I wanted to reveal or discover that we are just following something very simple but at the same time enchanting. So that's why I decided to go deeper and deeper and make a very, very close up of those images. So I'm magnifying the images so you're so close to them that you only see the big squares. Talking about the artistic field, I did a very important exhibition called Eden. I decided to take this title because I wanted to expose how, as I said before, we are seduced by images, and all of us, we have our personal paradise or our personal Disneyland. So I wanted to create a space. That's what I did. I created a space with paintings. Well, I have some paintings here. I can show those paintings after that. And it was a big installation. So when you went in, you were like immersed in a space you probably at the beginning don't understand because Probably at the beginning you think you are in an abstract exhibition because everything was flat, bright, vibrant colors and geometrical shapes. But when you take distance, you realize that, oh, those are images I can recognize. And something very interesting is that some people decided to take pictures of the paintings and sculptures because they understood in some point that those were magnified pixels and pixelated images. So it's difficult if you don't have enough distance to look at them. So if you take a picture, of course the picture reduces the size, and then they can understand what's that. And that was also interesting because that was like closing the cycle, because I started with digital images and I went to something made in a traditional way. I mean, I had canvases, shaped canvases, and then with the painting, so is you can touch them, you can touch those pixels, and then they convert those images again in digital images to understand them. So that's very interesting. I want you to ask you, what do you think is this?
That reminds me of a mobile phone.
Yes, very good, very good.
An Italian one, maybe?
Well, they are from probably the first generation. Well, you always have this green and red button, so that's why you have this look like an Italian flag. But that's a very interesting commentary. And also, normally in the earlier models, you have a little screen. It was always like some sort of green, and here you have like the keyboard. But when you blur all those stuff, so you have something in this color, and they used to have a little antenna. So yes, this is a very old-fashioned mobile phone. And then this one could be a little bit more difficult. I like to help people to understand them. So normally, for instance, the title for this painting is "Would You Call Me?" So when you have this title, you can focus your mind in this context, so that helps you to understand. So in the case of this one, the title is very clear: Some pills. Pills. So it is a big pill. So when you have little stuff inside them. Well, I started with comic strips for newspapers in Colombia. So I remember I did a story about a child which was in the middle of a divorce. So it was not completely comic. It was a little bit sarcastic about that. And then I started to do comics for adults, and that I just wanted to show how diverse was the culture today. So I created a comic called, my translation in English is "The Boy Who Was Banned from the Lift." Because when I went to Spain, I was very surprised how when you went to the lift in Spain, there was a sign, a very, very old-fashioned one, portraying a little boy dressed in the 60s style way. And I was surprised because that was in 2000. So I was shocked because it was like out of this contemporary world. It was so weird, and it was also so common. So I appropriate that image for my comics, and he was starring those comics. So that also helped me to experiment with different levels of iconicity, which means different levels of representation of reality. So for instance, in some of these comics I have this character having a conversation with the girl, design girl from the bathrooms for ladies, which is an icon. It's a very flat and expressive icon. And some different are traditional and non-traditional graphics we can find in our world. So that was the idea. And right now I'm doing comics for children as well. And one of my most recent characters is a little girl which is possessed by an evil spirit. So this comic is about the normal life of a girl in these circumstances. What does she do in school with their friends and everything. Her name is, in Spanish is Teresa la Posesa, and in English it could be Tess the Possessed, something like that. And it's very interesting or funny because you can mix all our background from movies and films about exorcisms and all that kind of stuff for children, because today you can do that. Probably 15 or 20 years ago you weren't able to do that because this magazine is approved by the government in Spain for children, and I have all that stuff there. So that's interesting, that how you can do different things in different moments of history. What I probably would like to do now, I'm now staying for 2 months in Scotland, and I find this place very, very exciting. So I also would like to find magazines or publishers for my comics, because I'm working in translating some of them to English. So that will be something really, really interesting. And I also would like to get in contact with galleries, or actually to have gallery representation in Scotland or in the United Kingdom, because I already have a gallery representation in Spain. So I would really like to do that, and to have an exhibition here will be amazing. That's probably what I want to do next.